We've got a massive Dodgers update to get into. Blake Snell throws for the first time this spring. Roki Sasaki throws in a B game. Got some new insight about that. Also, Shohei Ohtani throws a live BP here in Miami. We have all the details. Did Mark DeRosa disrespect Clayton Kershaw? Talk about that. Also, a final opening day roster projection. Should we be concerned about Ha-Seong Kim's production in the WBC? Should Alex Freeland get some more consideration? Who will be the breakout stars this season? All that more coming up next on a 305 Miami edition of Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You guys wanting a parade? We got a parade! The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Ohtani starts the 50-50 club. Milky Magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
You gotta knock him out.
Live from the heart of Los Angeles, this is Dodgers Dugout Live with your host, Doug McKain.
What is up, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. I cover the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation, a credentialed member of the media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit that like button for your Los Angeles Dodgers, and this show is brought to you by the LA Sports Reports, my new show about all LA sports, and GearUp.LA, the official merch store of Dodgers Nation. Today's Dodgers Dugout Live poll question of the show. I asked you guys over on the X, who will be the Dodgers breakout player of the year this season? And there's more options than you probably would think. For a team that has so much established talent, there are some really interesting options. But right now, I've got Ha-Seong Kim, Roki Sasaki, River Ryan, and Dalton Rushing. And right now, 34.9% say Ha-Seong Kim, 32.1% say Roki Sasaki, River Ryan's at 26.6%, and Dalton Rushing at 6.4%. I think Dalton Rushing deserves more votes on that one, but let me know down below. Who do you got as the Dodgers breakout player of the season? I'm looking at the chat. This is a live show. We'll get to your thoughts, comments, and questions about your boys in blue a little later during the 7th inning stretch. But there is so much Dodgers baseball to get into, so let's get right into it.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
All right, so we are Max Muncy days away from opening day, 13 to be exact. I had a travel day here in Miami for the World Baseball Classic. I'm at my wife's family's house, the in-laws here in South Florida. So this is going to be the spot for some shows for the next week. And by the way, on my plane right here, I noticed to my right, Alex Rodriguez was sitting in first class. A-Rod's sitting in first class on JetBlue. A-Rod, why isn't he in a private jet? That's all I'm wondering. But said what's up to A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. Thought that was pretty cool. He gave a little smile to my daughter, which I thought was pretty cool too. And he was loving that. So, yeah. It's electric. The World Baseball Classic is going on right now, but we got Dodger baseball to get into. It's been a couple of days. We have a lot of stories to catch up on. And the first one that I want to hit is on Blake Snell. So Blake Snell, he threw for the first time this spring, And this is extremely important because we know that Blake Snell is not someone that they need to be ready for the start of the season. We know that the most important thing for Blake Snell is not March, it's not April, it's not May, it's not June, it's October. And anything he needs to do to get ready to be an ace-level pitcher for the Dodgers in October, that is the priority. But he did get his season going, his spring training, his progression. He took a big step yesterday down at Camelback Ranch. Did not throw a ton of pitches, ends up throwing 15 pitches total, wasn't throwing at maximum effort, threw just exclusively fastballs, but it is a step in the right direction. He had been throwing 90 to 120 feet, trying to get ready for his first bullpen session. And as far as the timeline, Dave Roberts did say that the floor is 6 weeks. Dave said yesterday, I think it's a good step in the right direction in the sense of getting on the slope on the mound. This is not a max effort bullpen. So yeah, he's on the mound, which is great. But until he's kind of going full steam ahead, then we really don't know what we've got. So Dave is taking a cautious approach. They're going to take a cautious approach. And after, I think the most important thing to me, the biggest takeaway from Blake Snell's throwing session to me is that this is clear as day. This is completely obvious that he's good to go as far as if they wanted to force him to be ready for opening day and to make 150 innings and 20 to 30 starts, that if he was on a team that did not sign him for his postseason success, that did not sign him to be that elite pitcher for them on the biggest stage when it matters most, like he did last postseason, where he had 41 strikeouts. That was the most ever by a Dodgers pitcher in the postseason. If that was not the goal, I think there is a world where they could have forced their way through that. And the reason why I believe that is because Blake said that there's nothing lingering as far as pain goes. I think that it's just about getting to 100% before they give his season a go. And I think that's the goal. And I think the beautiful thing about this is that Blake Snell is on the same page with this. I think Blake Snell, I think Snellzilla, he made a decision which way his career wanted to go when he signed with the Dodgers. When he signed here for $182 million, he made a decision right then and there that it wasn't about Cy Youngs. It wasn't about throwing 150 to 200 innings, making 20 to 30 starts. Quite frankly, I think he possibly made the decision to not get into the Hall of Fame, because you can be a great postseason pitcher, but that's not going to get you into the Hall of Fame, even if you are elite in winning multiple World Series titles. I mean, I think there is a world where maybe like 7-8 years of that, you could talk about it, but not 4 or 5 years. And the way that his career was trending, a multi-Cy Young Award winning pitcher, where anytime he goes 130 innings, he's going to put himself in the Cy Young conversation, and he's likely going to win the Cy Young. If Snell wanted to chase Cy Youngs and chase regular season WAR for another's team, I think that he could have gone that route and that he could have pursued that. But he wanted to chase the ultimate prize, and that was winning the World Series. And I think for Blake Snell, it says a lot about who he is as a pitcher and as a player and as a teammate, that I'm not chasing Cooperstown. I'm chasing Los Angeles. I'm chasing my World Series titles. He wanted to be a part of that, and in year one, he was a big part of that, and I think that was massive. And I think, too, on top of that, this is who Blake Snell is. If you follow Blake Snell throughout his career, you know that this is something that really just happens to him early on in seasons, where it's a lingering injury, they're trying to get right, and then even when he comes back from that lingering injury, or he's not at 100%, that his numbers and his performance, it doesn't reflect that of an elite pitcher, of a top 5 guy in the first half. And he's not bad or terrible, but he doesn't put up Cy Young numbers in the first half. Throughout his career, his first half ERA sits at 3.95 in 108 starts. His second half ERA in 103 starts, he's posted a 2.33 ERA. Blake Snell is in the conversation for best second half in postseason pitchers in the history of the game. His postseason ERA, 15 starts. He's pitching 18 games. Remember, he got 4 big outs in the Dodgers clincher in Game 7 against the Blue Jays. Even though he did struggle at times late in those starts, the home runs to Vladdy, giving up those runs, even though that was the case, he still was pitching fantastic for the most part. And his body work in the postseason, he has a 3.27 ERA. So, I mean, you just look at that. Last season, the postseason, a 3.18 ERA, 34 innings, 41 strikeouts, and 13 walks. Like I said, the most ever by a Dodgers pitcher in one postseason, and got those 4 massive outs in Game 7. So give Blake Snell credit in an era where, hey, he got the bag to pitch in the postseason. And give the Dodgers credit, too, for Blake Snell. I want to mention this. You look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, the contract they gave Corbin Burns a couple off seasons ago. You can't sign Corbin Burns and say, hey, it's just about October in the postseason if you're the Diamondbacks. They're not in a position to do that. Most teams, in fact, I would say essentially every single team outside of the Dodgers pretty much, they're not going to give a guy $180 million with the emphasis on the postseason. They are not going that route. But the Dodgers, because of their depth, because the other elite starters they have in their rotation, they can afford to do this. They have the luxury of doing this. So, hey, the Dodgers basically dropped $182 million on a pitcher that, sure, if he's healthy, there's a world where he makes 20-plus starts on a given year, but they're not demanding that. All they care about with Blake Snell is that he's great at the end of the season and that he can be elite in the postseason, help them win World Series titles. I think they're on the same page with that. I think that is how you have to look at this injury, through the prism of the postseason. And I think based on Blake Snell's body language, based on how he sounded yesterday, I think it's clear to me that that is the plan.
Blake, Dave told us today that it was more of like a touch and feel bullpen. Just see it off the mound. I mean, how big of a step is this for you, and how are you just feeling this spring?
Yeah, I feel good. No, I mean, yeah, I was very excited to throw off the mound again and pitch, and yeah, just been looking forward to this for a while. So this being like the first one where I actually could have the catcher down, and I was still limited to what I could throw. I was throwing 87 to 89, but felt effortless, easy, could command the ball. So happy with that. Yeah, just happy to continue to grow and get better.
Is recovery still a focus for you right now? I mean, does it depend on how you're going to come out of this tomorrow, or are you kind of in a position now where it's just truly starting that build up at the moment?
Yeah, I think build up. I feel good. There's no like thoughts of like, ooh, like I still feel anything. So that's a good place to be. But yeah, no, I definitely feel good, and I think it's a build up now.
So he said right there, he's throwing 87, 89, effortless, doesn't feel like he's throwing in pain. Snell's going to be fine. As far as the timeline for his return, Dave said the floor 6 weeks. He's going to need his own spring training. He's going to have to feel right. If he doesn't have any setbacks, sure, we could see him earlier than later. I think that the way that the schedule maps out with those off days early in the season, you got that first Sunday off, and you got all those Thursdays off in the month of April. 4 of the 5 Thursdays in April, the Dodgers are going to be off. And then you have 3 off days on Thursday the following month. So I think when the 6-man rotation starts to kick in, based on the performance of the guys and barring the health of the other starters, they're not going to rush him back. If they need him back, he will return, I think, a little sooner than expected. But I wouldn't be shocked to see him at some point in May. I wouldn't be shocked to see him at some point in June, quite frankly, just because there could be a setback here, a setback there. After one throwing session, he doesn't feel 100%. The last thing they want is for Blake Snell to pitch through something that could lead to an injury where there's not enough time to recover from it for him to get to 100% for the postseason. I think that's the mentality on this one. I will say, too, big shout out to Blake Snell. When I was down at Camelback Ranch for spring training, no one signed more autographs. No one took more pictures than Snellzilla. Man of the fan, Blake Snell. Okay, speaking of throwing, of course, as it always is, it was an event yesterday at Lone Depot here in Miami with Shohei Ohtani on the mound throwing a live BP session. and the stuff was really electric. He threw 59 pitches, had 7 strikeouts, just 2 hard hits. He broke some bats. And it's clear that Shohei Ohtani is dialed in. It's clear that Shohei wants to be ready to go early on in the season, and that clearly his mindset is going to be on making his turn through the rotation early on in the year. I think that no one's going to say that he's more valuable to this team as a pitcher than he is as a hitter, because that's certainly not the case. We know that. This team absolutely needs him batting leadoff, hitting home runs, doing damage. That's what makes this team a special team, is Shohei Ohtani, what he does with the bat in the lineup. But this year for Shohei, I think, is going to be defined largely by what he can do on the mound. This is a guy that hasn't finished higher than 4th in the Cy Young voting, and that's extremely impressive for a guy that can hit 50-plus home runs. That's certainly the case with him. But let's not forget, too, that with Shohei Ohtani, everyone is saying the same thing about him. And when everyone says the same thing, it starts to get pretty interesting. And that same thing is about the Cy Young. Shohei has already said himself that he has his eyes on the Cy Young, not in a selfish, hey, I want to just stack awards and add another award infinity stone to my gauntlet. It's not that. He understands that him winning the Cy Young helps this team, but also it's a goal. And he is a very goal-oriented type of player. And I think he realizes that, yes, he's Superman. I know it says Japan across his chest, but it should say Krypton because that's where he's from. At least I think that's my theory. He knows that even Superman at some point isn't going to be able to do this forever. And I think he wants to capitalize on being as healthy as he's ever been on the mound in years. I asked Shohei earlier this year about the uptick in velocity, where the fastball is up to 98.2 on the 4-seam on average. That's identical with Paul Skeens. The first time he came back of Tommy John, he was averaging 93. It took him a couple years just to average just under 96 at 95.9. He told me that it was his second time going through the process. That was the reason, but also the windup, the lean towards the plate, just leaning in on that fastball. And the spin's up, the velocity's up, the command is up. And I think he knows that this could be the peak year for him as a pitcher. So my theory on Shohei, as far as they're going to use him to start the year, is even though he's ramping up, yesterday he used his full arsenal, 2-seamer, sweeper, curve, splitter, and we know that he can throw 7 pitches. But I think what they're going to do with him, give him a start where he goes 3 innings, maybe even 4 innings, and with some of those relievers that you have, the Justin Robleskis, the Emmett Sheehan's, the starters that can swing a little bit. Of course, Sheehan, of course, going to start the season in the rotation no matter what. But with guys like Justin Robleski and Emmett Sheehan and River Ryan, some of these younger guys that you can be a little fluid and interchangeable with maybe how you could use them in a particular start, that they're going to have some piggyback starts early on. And they're going to mix and match just a little bit while Shohei ramps up. But I think what we'll see from Shohei is, yes, they're going to pick their spots throughout the season where maybe he skips a start, you start him before a day off, and then you give him some extended rest from that standpoint. And when the Dodgers are in those runs where they're playing 19 games, 19 days, and things like that, yeah, I do think there's some opportunities to skip some starts. But this is what I think. I think what Shohei wants, and this is complete speculation, just a theory on my end, is if Shohei starts the season, the quicker he can establish himself as a regular starter, going 6 or 7 innings per start, every turn through the rotation, and doing that at a Cy Young elite level, that establishes the narrative. And a lot of times when it comes to these awards, they're won in the first 3 or 4 months of the season because that's when the narratives are formed. And I think if Shohei gets off to a hot start on the mound and you look at his numbers side by side with someone like a Paul Skeens or even his teammate Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and it looks like Ohtani, through his first 10 to 15 starts, is posting a sub-3 ERA, is posting explosive strikeout numbers, and has Cy Young level performance. If he does that early on, then I think they're going to honor that in his pursuit of that award. But if he doesn't get off to a great start, or he's not fully built up, and the performance isn't great, and we're close to the All-Star break, and Shohei has close to a 4 ERA, and Paul Skeens is putting up video game sub-2 ERA numbers, and it's looking like, hey, it's unlikely that Shohei is going to be a legitimate Cy Young candidate. Well, then at that point, I think you can dial it back just a little bit and make sure that there's still a lot left in there to when the postseason rolls around, we can see versions of Shohei like we saw in Game 4 of the NLCS, where he was really using that pitch mix well, went to the splitter in that game, was fantastic with it. We saw in the Reds game earlier in the year before that when he went to the curveball. So he can go to different pitches in different sequences, and that, I think, is kind of what you're looking for. Can he get into the driver's seat for the Cy Young early? Because at that point, hey, you're chasing history. And the truth is, what scares me is Shohei clearly has locked in on the Cy Young for this season. And when Shohei wants something, he gets it. When he puts his mind on something, he probably accomplishes it. Andrew Friedman said that when he puts his mind on something, special things happen. And I wouldn't put a past him. Look, if he wants the Cy Young and that's his goal, to win the Cy Young, he won the Cy Young. If his goal is to win the Cy Young, you can basically put it in pencil that he's going to find a way to win that award. He has some tough competition, but still, this is Shohei we're talking about. The guy that is the last person on the planet that you should doubt when it comes to pursuing something. So I think that a lot of the Shohei pitcher usage could ultimately be dictated by his early season performance. I think he's going to have a really great year on the mound just because the stuff is truly elite. It absolutely is. The surface level stuff, the other stuff, it definitely is extremely impressive. So that's where he's at, is ramping up. But the other important thing too, and the Dodgers are probably happy about this, is he said that there's no chance he's going to be pitching in the WBC. No chance that he's going to be pitching in the WBC. And that, I think you can apply it to the Cy Young, right? He's already had his WBC pitching moment. He struck out Mike Trout with a little slider off the plate there to get Trouty swinging and missing. And hey, when that happened, that's the indelible image. That's going to be the visual you'll have of Shohei Ohtani in the WBC. He does not need to do that again. He does not need to prove that he can do that again. And the truth is, there's nothing that Shohei Ohtani can do on the mound during the WBC that can help him win a Cy Young. And I think that's a part of the calculus as well. But still, Shohei Ohtani on the mound, great stuff. All right, let's read some comments here, guys. Welcome to Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. I know it's been a couple of days. We got a lot to get into, though. We've got Shohei should just ride as long as he can. So much fun from Foxy Cinnamon. We've got Let's Start the Season already from Claudia. We got Sheriff in the chat. Who else? We got BC. We've got Nando. Hey, where's D-Mac? It looks like he's at Mr. Belvedere's office. Nando, hey, I love it. No, I'm at my in-laws pad, South Florida, here for the WBC. So, yeah, good stuff. By the way, quick reminder, we're doing the Fancave series again. So if you guys want to get in on the Fancave series, the series here at Dodgers Nation where fans send in all their merch and their areas in their house, their basements, whatever it may be, where you got all your Dodgers jerseys and autographs and cool stuff, definitely go check that out. Go to dodgersnation.fancave.com Fancave.com. And if you win, you will get a Fancave certificate and a gift card from Dodgers Nation. So if you got a really awesome Fancave, if you got a lot of Dodgers stuff that you want to just showcase, video it, take pictures of it, go to that website, enter to win, and you'll be on our next episode. So that's some fun stuff right there. All right, sticking with the Dodgers rotation, we are going to talk some Roki Sasaki. I still think that is one of the most fascinating storylines heading into the 2026 season, just because of all the hype that surrounded him. This is a guy that was being touted as the LeBron James of baseball. This is a guy that Andrew Friedman told me feels like he can be the best pitcher on the planet. And Andrew Friedman said that he feels that way too. Going back to our poll question, who will be the Dodgers breakout player of the year? Ha-Seong Kim still leading at 38.3%, Roki at 27.4%, and River Ryan at 28.6%. So River Ryan, Dodgers fans, this is early on in this poll, but Dodgers fans have River Ryan ahead of Roki Sasaki for the breakout pitcher of the year. That surprises me. You're higher on River Ryan than you are Roki Sasaki? Yes, he had a 4.72 ERA last year in 34 1/3 innings. Yes, he looked bad on the mound where the velocity was down, the confidence was down. There was that shot of him looking like he was about to cry, and he was showing emotion in the dugout. But let's not forget, too, this is a pitcher that made some mechanical adjustments, got healthy, fixed the rotation in his pelvis, and he was great in the postseason as a closer. He pitched in 10 2/3 innings, had 6 strikeouts, 5 walks, a 0.84 ERA, had 3 saves in 9 games. He got the job done when they needed it the most. So River Ryan, I'll talk about him too, but Roki Sasaki, as far as ceiling, because of that forkball, how unique of a pitch it is, because of the fact that he has thrown triple digits throughout his career, hitting 102, showing elite flashes in the NPB, I still think it's tantalizing potential. And he did throw a couple of days ago in a B game at Camelback Ranch. And by all accounts, he was fantastic. And this is coming off 2 starts in spring training where he allowed 7 runs in his first 2 spring training starts. He gave up a grand slam against the Guardians, left the game, came back, and then was really good. The strikeout numbers jumped. The swing and miss went up. He talked about finding some mechanical cues and focusing on his oblique. And you can see just the downward movement of those mechanics. And since then, he's pitched extremely well. And that gives you some confidence, knowing that he can find a way to make some adjustments after not having success. And if he's as good as he was against those minor leaguers in his next spring training start, I think the excitement will build. But on my new show, The Dodgers Collective, with Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic and Jerry Hairston Jr. of Sportsnet LA, we talked about this yesterday, where Fabian was there at the minor league camp. He was there along with the other beat writers in the Dodgers brass. And here's what Fabian Ardaya had to say about Roki Sasaki going up against the White Sox minor leaguers. As far as Roki Sasaki, we know first couple of spring training starts working on stuff, and he had some ups and downs. But by all accounts, he pitched very well in that B game. Were you there, Fabian? And what did you see from Roki?
Yeah, I was there. It was basically just the media and like pretty much every single Dodgers front office person you could think of. I think it was probably, I don't know if it's necessarily intentional, but it's certainly convenient that that game started at the same time as the Cactus League game did, try to keep eyes away from Roki Sasaki as he's continuing to work through things. And the thing is, taking away from that, it's hard to really gauge in terms of the raw numbers of it, because some of it is very clear. Like these guys for the White Sox system, a lot of them were guys who either ended the season in Double-A or going to start the season in Double-A, had not seen a forkball quite like Roki Sasaki's before. So that's probably a result for a lot of the swings and misses there. I think what you can come away feeling somewhat encouraged with is the fastball command That first inning worked. First batter, he sprayed a couple, but after that, it seemed like things were in a better place. Dave Roberts said the velocity was 98 to 100. We didn't get, obviously, a good look at the metrics like we would in a Cactus League game, but it seemed like things were kind of dialed in a better place. And Roki Sasaki feels like he's in a good place with his mechanics in terms of having a mental cue that he feels he can repeat at this point. Obviously, that is kind of a game of whack-a-mole, but if your mechanics are in line, then all of a sudden things come a lot easier for Roki Sasaki. So it's an encouraging start. I'm not sure how much you can read into necessarily the raw numbers of it, but also, like I kind of mentioned from the outset, like this is a spot where the Dodgers are going to start him in the season in the rotation, and they can afford to let him struggle just because if that's what sort of happens. They can afford to have him struggle if that's what happens, just because they know they don't need him to be good right now. But they also know that if you start him in the minors, then he's away from some of your top development guys, or maybe you risk losing him mentally, or there's a trust thing there that maybe it gets thrown into the air if you start the season with him in the minors. I think they know that their best team in October probably has Roki Sasaki firing on all cylinders. And if you can tap into that, it's more likely that's going to happen in big league games.
So yeah, Fabian had a lot of great takes in that one, a lot of great insight and information. Really, that's what he's all about. With the best in the game in my eyes, as far as the beat writers go. Dodgers have great players. They have great beat writers. They're all fantastic. Fabian, as good as it gets. And I think he brought up some really interesting stuff. I think one thing that really stood out to me is a lot of people want to say, oh, Roki Sasaki is not having success. Let's throw him down at the minor league level. Well, guess what? When you're at the minor league level, you're not facing big league competition. And then also, you're not around the coaches that are the best, right? You're not around Mark Pryor and Connor McGinnis every single day. And yes, you can delegate and they can be a part of the process, but to expedite and accelerate his development, I think the biggest key is for him to be at the big league level. I think there was a comment here, wanted to read it, saying that I think it was Sheriff Bart saying that he needs to hit the bull. And of course, that is a reference to the movie Bull Durham, who, hey, I think Bull Durham, I'd put it that in Major League, two best baseball movies in the game. And yeah, if you remember what happened in that, well, guess what? The phrase was where, I mean, you want to hit that bullseye, and that definitely is what he needs to do, is hit that bullseye in a game and see the success. He needs to see the success that he saw in the postseason, but in the regular season as a starter, where he's going through lineups 2 or 3 times, where he's seeing a third pitch get over and keep big league hitters off balance, because hitters are going to be able to lock in on a fastball. If he's not locating it, it doesn't have a ton of spin, and they can spin on that forkball, even though they can't hit it. Even last year in his struggles, opponents were hitting 137 on that forkball. But still, I think the biggest thing for him is if he's able to stay healthy and he's able to not fall out mechanically, the fastball and the forkball are good enough to, even if he's just working that third pitch, he's going to find some success. I think the biggest issue with him last year, and yes, of course, he has to find a third pitch, right? That's just the difference between a big league starter and a big league reliever. That's essential. Goes without saying. But the biggest difference with last year is just the fastball command and the velocity was down. Even last year with a limited repertoire, if he had just had that fastball velocity at 98 and above with some command, he would have had some more success. He truly would have. This year, if he comes in with the velocity, has the command, I think that Roki Sasaki is going to be the Dodgers' breakout player of the year. I truly do. I love River Ryan. We call him the LA River because he's nasty. But let's not forget, Roki Sasaki's nickname is the monster of the Reiwa era. And I do think Rookie of the Year could be back on the table because he's already throwing velocity-wise better than he threw last season. And if he can't maintain that, then I'm going to start to wonder if there's something that's physically wrong with him that makes it where he can't consistently pump what he used to pump. That's going to make me think that. Because if that's the case, then I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's this, he's that. Oh, I was definitely overshooting it a little bit when I was saying that he had a chance to be one of the best pitchers in baseball in year one. Could he be fighting through something, because he missed 99 days last season with that shoulder injury? And from what I've been told from people around the Dodgers is the biggest thing that they tapped into with the hips, that's not an issue anymore. With the pelvis, they're not worried about that anymore. And that was one of the biggest issues that Rob Hill and the Dodgers brass found. They found that the pelvic and the pelvis area was tipping forward, which caused him to rotate too early. And basically what that means is during the pitching delivery, you build up energy and it goes up and it projects up to the arm as he's releasing. If you disrupt that energy rippling up to the arm anyway, something is going to change, whether it be command, whether it be velocity. And for Sasaki, it was the worst case scenario because he lost 7 miles per hour of velocity. So that is the biggest issue, is you can't have that pelvis tipping forward and you can't rotate too early. So I could not wait to see what Shohei looks like on the mound, where they know that now. Like, think about this. They didn't know that early on the season last year. Now they've had the opportunity to work with him. There was a report out there that he wasn't susceptible to some of the Dodgers pitching and coaching and some of the tips and adjustments that they had laid out for him. Well, at this point, I think what the Dodgers like to do is, okay, Freddie Freeman, we're not going to tell you what you need to do to get ready because you're a guy that's going to have 3,000 hits. Shohei, Mookie, all these established veterans, even Yamamoto knew what he was doing. Roki's 24. And I think for a player like that, they're not going to allow him to go with his mechanics, go with his adjustments without their input. And I think that he saw what they were able to do for him last year, which led to him having success in the postseason, which led to the Bailar Roki, which led to simplifying that pitch mix where he really was going with fastball and forkball down the stretch in the postseason. He understands that their ways work. And I think there is more trust there. And I think, too, that he's got to perform because, look, I will admit it, it's obvious. He's getting special treatment. And guess what? That's okay with me because superstars aren't created equal. They're not treated equally. And there's a reason for that is because their ability and the potential they have is so high that it's worth working with them and making them feel like they're extra special. So I have no issue with that. Like, look at your job, right? I mean, the superstars, they do certain things, they get away with certain things. But then when it's time for the review, it's like, oh, look at Kathy's sales numbers, right? They're through the roof. Let Kathy do whatever she wants because she makes money around here, right? Like, when you have the potential to perform at a level, then you're going to get some benefit of the doubt. And I think that's certainly the case of Roki Sasaki. I think, too, they understand that from a confidence standpoint, this is him adjusting to a new league, a new country. There's pressure on him with not really a happy exit. When he left the Chibalote Marines, he had a bad relationship with the media over there. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they felt like he did not do enough for them to earn the right to get posted early like he did, like we saw with Shohei Ohtani. But they pushed for that, and now he's got to prove them wrong. But here was Roki Sasaki after his throwing session talking about feeling much better on the mound.
今日もそれを意識、継続して意識しつつ、新たにちょっと加えるものもありましたけど、基本的には前回の良かった時をベースに投げて、良かったです。
I actually kept doing the same adjustment I made last time, and also I actually add a few more adjustments on different spot, and it made me really better today.
いい感じに来てるのかなと思います。
I actually felt pretty bad last couple days. My feel, the way I throw, but today I was able to make kind of adjustment, and then my pitch was really good. So I think that's really need what that's what I really need for right now. So I think I can keep moving forward. I actually have two things. The first one is staying healthy and keep pitching whole year, and the second thing is just keep putting up the results. Otherwise, I won't be able to continue pitching throughout the season. So.
Roki Sasaki, go pick up a Roki of the Year shirt. They're still there. They're still there. I thought, I was very impressed with him in that situation. Just to go out there after a rocky start, and then you're in a controlled environment. He went 4 innings, had 9 strikeouts, get 1 hit, no earned runs, and did hit a batter. So I think things are trending in the right direction for Roki Sasaki, certainly. And I also think, like Dave's already said, he's a lock to start the season in the rotation. So he's going to get his opportunities early. It's going to be exciting to see what he can do. And I'm ready I like this. Like, it's fun to see this. It's fun to see not a guy struggle, but it's fun to see some guys that you're kind of going through their rise with, right? And they always say it's better to kind of, it's better to, when you make it, to celebrate with your friends, right? That you came up with. It's like, we get to see his come up. Like, we get to see his come up. Like, we get to see him when he wasn't in his better days, right? We get to see him in his, we saw with Clayton Kershaw some of the rough spots early, right? Where he didn't have the slider. And he feared that Joe Torre was going to send him down and keep him down, right? And then Clayton Kershaw will go on to be one of the best pitchers in baseball history. We get to see that, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have a deeper connection with Kersh. And I think it's great. Yeah, certainly. We'll take the Mookies and the Freddies and the Shoheis and established veterans all day long. But I do think there's something that builds character that Roki's endured. And I think that, hey, this is someone who's going to be here for at least 6 years, right? I mean, at least that's how much team control they have on him. And I think that there's a special relationship that he has with Dodgers fans. I think you got to really wrap your arms around him, because it's not easy. It's not easy to make it in the show, especially under the spotlight that Roki is in. All right. One thing I want to get into before we hit to the 7th-inning stretch. I want to talk some Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw is not going to be a part of Team USA for the quarterfinals. Clayton Kershaw, his career is essentially, it's over. It absolutely is. Bob Nightingale, he tweeted out today that Clayton Kershaw is going to be replaced on USA's WBC roster after the quarterfinal, and this is per Bob Nightingale. And Joe Ryan is going to be lined up to pitch in the championship game. I want to say about this, first and foremost, if we're talking about replacing anyone on the roster, can they replace Mark DeRosa with Dave Roberts? Can they replace Mark DeRosa with anyone else? Because Mark DeRosa clearly doesn't know what he's doing, misspeaking, and then doubling down about thinking that USA had already advanced when they didn't. Just not the biggest fan of Mark DeRosa as a manager. Big fan of his on MLB Network. I'd rather see him in the studio than the dugout at this point. I mean, you look at what Team USA did in basketball. The Redeem Team, you go from Mike Popovich and Mike Krzyzewski and Steve Kerr, some of the best coaches in the National Basketball Association. What does Team USA have? You got Mark DeRosa, who does not have experience as a manager. And I know some fans are upset about this. I really know that they want to see Kersh pitch one more time. I have to admit, selfishly, I'm happy about this. Selfishly, I think this is a good thing for Clayton Kershaw. Just because you never know what could happen. And the last thing I wanted to see, even if it was in mop-up duty, even if it was in a situation where Kersh didn't cost his team the game, and maybe you could say this is loser's mentality. I don't care. But selfishly, as a Dodgers fan, there's something that I think is magical about the fact that his last pitch is going to be the pitch he threw in Game 3 of the World Series. And that pitch in that moment is always going to, I think, resonate more just because it was such a special game. Obviously, it was one of the greatest games in baseball history, but it was one of those games where it felt like, oh no, you're cutting to the bullpen. Kershaw's going to have to pitch. If he blows it here and they win the World Series, or if he blows here and they lose the World Series, that his last moment as a Dodger was failing on the biggest stage. It would have given all the haters all this fuel. The choke Shaw crowd would come out in force, but instead, he found a way to get the job done. He found a way on the biggest stage, in a moment where they needed him the most, to somehow, some way get out of that jam. And I just love the fact that we get to have that forever. I just love the fact that we're never going to see anyone like Kershaw again that I think pitches this long for one team with that much success. It was the top of the 12th inning. Emmett Sheehan was out there to start the inning. He walked Kirk, and then Straw, he had a bunt line out to first. Ernie Clement, he grounded to second. Jimenez was intentionally walked. And then Schneider reached on that infield single to third, and Clayton Kershaw enters the game with the bases loaded against Lucas, needing to find a way to get out. And he had to pitch in the zone because it was the bases loaded in a 5-5 game. They load the count, a 3-2 count. Then Lucas fouls off the 6th and 7th pitches, and on the 8th pitch, he goes with a slider down and in, grounds to Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman shovels it to Freddie to first, and Clayton Kershaw gets the Dodgers out of that inning. And now we can say that that's going to be the last pitch they'll ever throw. I mean, come on. How could you not be romantic about baseball? Like, Clayton Kershaw played a role in the World Series, and he played a major role last season. He made 22 starts, pitched in 23 games, posted a 3.36 ERA. I'll say this before and I'll say it again. If Roki Sasaki or River Ryan or Gavin Stone put up the numbers that Clayton Kershaw put up in his 18th season, 22 starts and a 3.36 ERA, you're going to be doing cartwheels down Vince Scully Avenue, down 1000 Vince Scully Avenue, saying this is the next great pitcher, right? Saying we found our next great pitcher, someone that we can build upon and add to this already star-studded rotation, okay? So don't tell me that he didn't contribute last season. He certainly did, and he gave the Dodgers everything he had. And look, Mark DeRosa, like I said, if we're going to replace anyone on the roster, let's replace him as a manager. So I don't think Kershaw is going to be too upset about this. I really don't. I like the way this lines up. Now, as far as the rest of the roster and where we're stacked here, it really is going to come down to Alex Freeland and Ha-Seong Kim as far as who's going to get that role. Now, I'm not going to overreact about this, but Ha-Seong Kim, in 3 games in the WBC, 12 plate appearances, is hitting 100, does have that one hit, the home run, has 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. So, look, that's against lesser quality pitchers. I think it's got to be tough for him to go while he's trying to win a job, go play for Team Korea, pressure there. And it's an extremely small sample size. But Alex Freeland is a very talented ball player as well. They both have options. I think the biggest key there is that Kim can back up Andy Pages in center field. And that's the number one reason why you give him that edge. As long as you can hit, you can see a path for Ha-Seong Kim. But I do think it's going to be a platoon situation. I think Miguel Rojas is going to get a ton of opportunities early on. We saw Santiago Espinal, the success that he's had during spring training. Alex Freeland, they talked about his ability to have success against fastballs and the bat and the approach just looking better. He's worked well with Mookie Betts. And Freeland's a ball player too, and he deserves an opportunity. I think in a perfect world, you got Kim and Freeland at spring training all season, and you can really kind of battle it out. I just think that the value of Kim as a base runner off the bench and someone that can be extremely dynamic if he gets on base. But the truth is if he's put up a strikeout rate like he did last season above 30% and he's not getting on base, he's not going to get a lot of opportunities. They're going to do a quick trigger, and you're going to see Alex Freeland and Kiké Hernández is going to be back. Tommy Edman at some point is going to be back. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on Kim to perform early on this season. With Kiké, he underwent surgery, of course, on his left elbow. He's hoping to be back at some point late in May. And Tommy Edman, there's really no timetable for his return. They're not expecting him back at any point in the near future. He did take on-field batting practice for the first time last week. Did hit from both sides, but he is a month away, I think, from full baseball activities. And then when he does get back, he's going to need to go on a rehab assignment, have his own spring training. It's going to be an extended one because it's been a long time since he's faced big league pitching. And look, I think that there's no reason to rush him back. When they get him back, they want to keep him back. And then Kiké Hernández, hey, he's going to want to get some opportunities too, because does he want this to be his last year in the show? And will teams really want to sign him if it's not the Dodgers, if he's just going to be a postseason player? I think Kiké is going to want to come back and play. And by the way, Kiké did talk to the media a couple days ago, and I like his mindset about the three-peat. I don't think you can view this season as we're winning a three-peat this year. You can't win 3 titles in 1 year. If you win the title this year, then you've won 3 in a row, then you've three-peated, but you still have to take it one championship at a time. And I think the importance of that is, hey, if I'm the Dodgers, if I'm in that clubhouse, I forget that he even won the last 2 World Series titles. Because if you always think in three-peat, I think you can kind of fall back on, hey, we won the title last year. What more could they want? We won the title a year before that. Aren't they happy, right? Think of this as its own year, its own challenge, its own unique season. And hey, I won't forget what my man Jerry Hairston told me, that a high-ranking Dodgers employee told him, won't name names, but one thing that he was told was that this high-ranking official with the Dodgers said, someone better beat us this year. They should have beat us this year, because now the Dodgers are an even better team. You got Kyle Tucker, Edwin Diaz. You got a more experienced, younger unit on that team. And let's not forget, the 2025 Dodgers won 93 games. They still won a World Series. But here was Kiké Hernández talking to reporters about the potential to become the first team in American sports to win 3 straight championships since the Lakers from the early 2000s.
I mean, this is going to be kind of a similar answer that I gave last year. Yes, we are going for the three-peat, but these are things that you don't think about because you're trying to win this year. Whatever happened last year and the previous year, that's already paid for. That's already history. You're not trying to win 3 championships in 1 year. You're just trying to win this year. And we know how hard it is to win. We don't really take it for granted, even though we've been there, done that. We know that we still have to show up and do what we got to do to win ball games, win the division, get into October, and then win 3 or 4 series, however many it takes. But as far as like thinking three-peat, we're just trying to win this year. We already won the last 2 years, but that doesn't do anything for us other than put a target on our backs. But we're trying to win this year, and if we win this year, it just happens to be 3 in a row.
Is the mental tax of having that target?
No.
Fun?
It's
Is it hard? Is it
I take it as a compliment. I take it as a privilege. We're playing in some weird times in the game where, not every person that owns a team is trying to win. A lot of them are trying to make money, and fine, if it's their money, they can do whatever it is. But not all 30 teams are trying to win a World Series, and for us to be in a position where this team is doing whatever it takes, or they can to put us in a position to compete deep into the season, deep into October, I take it as a privilege. And I guess maybe it's because it's my 10th year here, and it's nothing new to me, but I don't necessarily think anything changes because we're trying to go 3 in a row.
Yeah. It's your 10th year, but not that old. Did you watch those Laker teams? Do you
I did. Yeah, I did. I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest basketball fan, but my dad is a big basketball fan, and he used to watch religiously. And I mean, of course, Shaq and Kobe, and then Shaq leaving, and then Kobe teaming up with Powell, and you know they've had some great teams, and this city loves winning, and we've done pretty good at winning the last couple of years, so we're trying to keep doing it.
The Banana Man locked in with the blonde hair, supporting Team Puerto Rico. By the way, he's going to join his guys in Miami, so he'll be back out there. I think that's the mindset. Absolutely. I mean, pressure is a privilege. He understands that, but he's kind of got that like, hey, we're past the World Series glow. We're past that, and I think that's the mindset mentality, and that's why this team is filled with a ton of killers. By the way, just feel bad. We're always talking about a lot of this big picture stuff. And I do want to give a little bit of an update of what's actually going down at spring training. We've got Landon Knack on the mound tonight against the Mariners. But yesterday, the Dodgers hit 3 home runs in a big 9-5 win over the Reds. Teoscar Hernandez got his first home run of the spring. He's feeling a lot better. He said after the game that, yes, the injuries did hurt him last season. It impacted his performance at the plate, impacted his performance in the field, and it was good to see him with that big 5 million megawatt smile, hitting a bomb and just feeling good. He looks leaner, he looks meaner. I'm expecting a big bounce back here from Teoscar Hernandez. He's just such a talented hitter that I give him credit for playing through injuries, but it was great to see Teoscar Hernandez have success. Also, you had some more big moments from Santiago Espinal. So Santiago Espinal hit a 2-run double, and he had a really, really nice inside out. Just his bat path, it's flatter. One of the things they've told Santiago is, hey, we are going to be more aggressive early in counts. If there's something in the zone, we want you to attack. And I think that's been very freeing for him. He's been great against his former team, the Reds. So to his credit, he got that revenge factor. And Andy Pages had a 1-out single against Nick Lodolo in the first inning, scored on an RBI from Teo. So that was great to see. Also, Freddie Freeman got his 9th hit of spring training to drive in Teo a little later in the game. 9 RBIs for Freddie, and he's basically doing, as Bill Plunkett called it, the Camelback residency, where Freddie Freeman's only playing in spring training games. So those guys had success. A guy that didn't have success was Cole Irvin. So Cole Irvin, he's a depth pitcher. He got the start for the Dodgers. He's someone that is a spot starter type, a depth piece, someone you could fill in here, fill in there. If there's a guy that's injured, he's someone that they're hoping can provide some depth beyond just those younger guys that are on the roster. The River Ryans, the Gavin Stones when he's ready, the Landon Knacks, that kind of type of pitcher. And he didn't have a great outing at all. He had really, really struggled with that command. He gave up 4 walks in 2 innings through 57 pitches, 29 for strikes. He walked Reese Hines with the bases loaded to give the Reds their first run of the night, but did get 2 straight outs, which was a good situation where he says, okay, look, I understand I might be pitching for a possible role here. He did buckle down, but it wasn't an impressive performance. You need to see the command get better, because if he's going to pitch for this organization, they just have to trust that he's not going to come up and be a 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, but he can be a respectable starter in a game that can give the Dodgers a chance to win. Can you go 4 or 5 innings, allow this offense to score some runs, and take some innings off of a starter that needs a break? So he definitely needed a good start, didn't have it. We'll see what the path forward for him is. But yeah, it really was about Teoscar Hernandez hitting that bomb. Another big takeaway was Kyle Hurt. He struck out the side in a scoreless inning of work before Paul Gervais, also who had a really nice night. He retired 5 hitters. Alex Vesia came in for a batter to relieve Gervais. He struck out Hines, so he had a nice punch out there. So Kyle Hurt's a guy that I'm really circling this season. I think he's got a lot to give. He told me that they told him that he's going to be a reliever this year, that he really worked a lot on his bullet slider in the offseason. So really for him, we know that it's going to be about fastball command and trying to get that changeup, but also that bullet slider pitch that he's throwing in the past, he's throwing more. And he told me that your arm actually feels better after Tommy John, because you're working on all these small muscles that you weren't working on before. So that's why he feels stronger and more convicted. So, hey, Kyle's going to bring the hurt for the Dodgers. I feel really, really good about that. I think he's going to be someone that we might be talking about as a potential postseason weapon down the line if everything works out for him. So extremely high on Kyle Hurt. And the defense, by the way, was bad with Tanner Scott on the mound. Still, though, a 0.00 ERA for Tanner Scott. Look at him as a big bounce back candidate this season. But all right, we're running out of time. Let's do a quick seventh inning stretch. The
7th inning stretch.
All right, let's see what we got here. Dodgers Nation representing a Friday. If you're working, come on, like it's time to check out. It's time to check out. It's Friday. It's later. You got WBC all weekend. We've got, I think HSK is also adjusting to his bat still. Yeah, I mean, they're working on his swing as well. That corkscrew, trying to get the hips around. They want to keep it flatter and allow him to square up stuff. So, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that could be viewed in a couple different ways, though. Could that be viewed for Kim? And I still think that he has a really good chance to make the roster. I think I'd say 90% now at this point. He's in the driver's seat. I hate to call him a lock, but the thing, too, is when you're working on a new swing, you got to implement and incorporate those swing changes against big league pitching. That can never be easy. And I think for his case, how quickly can you adjust? And I think that from a work ethic standpoint, he's going to do everything he can. But it's a tough league, man. It is a tough league to do that. But I still think that he's going to get that opportunity early on. And he's got to hit. If he wants to stick, he's got to hit. Certainly. I totally agree with that take down below. Let's see who else. We got Mr. Classic. We got Krista, Helicopter, Man Cave. I know how to pitch. You don't need 5 pitches. Just silly. If you know how to pitch, you don't need 5 pitches. Yeah, I mean, doesn't mean it can't be a weapon. Nando, D-Mac, are you going to visit the Dodgers affiliate Tower Buzzers ballpark? I do want to visit that. I talked to the dude who runs that. I want to go there, do a little vlog. Maybe I'll do a live. You guys want me to do a live show from there? Nando, we'll do a live show from there. I'll set that up. I definitely want to check that out. I want to support minor league baseball any way I can. So certainly I'm going to make a point to go out there, film some content. But you guys know me, man. If I'm alive, I go live. I'm going to go out there and do a nice little live show for the people. And definitely make sure you're in on that too. We've got Canada and Korea are the candidates most likely to give us trouble. It's from BC. See what else we have here. Ray Soto, what's up, Mr. Classic? The only thing HSK has going is his speed. No, it's the glove too. Miguel Rojas told me that he's already a Gold Glove caliber second baseman. Also, he's improved a lot in center field. The speed is there, the athleticism, the angles, the routes, they've been better. So I disagree with you on that. He does have to prove he can hit, though. I mean, hit 422 his first month, and after that, it was a sub-200 hitter that struck out over 30% of the time. And we know that those elevated fastballs up and in, breaking balls away, we know what his kryptonite was. He's got to find a way to hit. I mean, look at James Outman. Look at a lot of guys that have shown some flashes. Zach McKinstry struggled, and then he found a role for Detroit. I mean, you just never know who's going to be able to make their way back after the struggles, after opposing teams have some of that video footage on you to attack your weak spots. We've got, what's up, Art Carino? How we doing? We've got, as D-Mac said, Kim has to go hit in the order to stick. Yeah, I mean, he's got to be a second leadoff guy, right? Ha-Seong Kim has to do what Gavin Lux did a couple years ago. And I know that some had these unfair expectations for Gavin Lux because at one point he was the top prospect in baseball. And sure, that's a reason to have expectations, but it's not like Gavin Lux had ever shown at the big league level that he could hit the way that people thought that he was supposed to hit. And the truth is, he got some big hits. He was able to get on base a couple years back when he was that second leadoff hitter, and he's got to do the same thing. Kim has to embrace the bottom of the lineup. He's got to be a hyena, right? We've got Ha-Seong Kim is great on defense. He's fast. That's from Foxy. Let's go. Chris, what do you eat in Florida? I don't know. Maybe some Probably, while I'm here, I'll probably go get the Big Arch at McDonald's. I want to try that. But no, obviously, got some great Cuban food down here. I have to get crazy with that. Any recommendations down in FLA, holler at your boy. Okay, we got Cantankerous. Let's go Dodgers. We got those two pitches won't do the job. I gotcha. Alligator. You want me to eat alligator? Okay. Is that legal? Is that legal? I know that the Florida State Seminoles like to eat alligator on the rivalry field, but I might consider that. Sheriff, what's up? J.Y. Kim, Gavin Stone, River Ryan. We've got BC. Most MLB lineups suck in comparison to the best in the WBC. Yeah, I think the WBC has done a fantastic job making sure that the rosters are really good, and that Dominican team is absolutely terrifying. But all right, guys, running out of time, Dodgers Nation. So let's get to the walk-off. All right, for the walk-off, I thought this was pretty awesome. If you saw Shohei Ohtani and the grand slam he hit in the WBC, there was a social media buzz about it as if it was this incredible moment, which it was. And I saw people comparing this. Oh, Shohei Ohtani's walk-off Shohei Ohtani's grand slam in the WBC has this many million views compared to Freddie Freeman's walk-off grand slam in the World Series. Yeah, because it was Shohei Ohtani. If Shohei Ohtani had a walk-off grand slam in the World Series, it would have a lot more views than if Freddie Freeman had a walk-off grand slam in the World Series. That's just how it is. When you're Michael Jackson in baseball cleats, that's what Shohei is. And that's, to me, it just speaks to the stardom of him, not that it's Team Japan or WBC over Major League Baseball or anything like that. So it was a great moment, and this was a great shot. And just look at this footage. Listen to the crowd here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the lore of this. But check out this bomb by Shohei Ohtani and just feel the electricity of the crowd at the Tokyo Dome after he hit a grand slam. I mean, just absolutely electric. That crowd, it felt like it was Game 7 of the World Series with the way that they reacted, the way they did. And with Shohei, it feels like it's absolute cinema. Everything kind of feels like it is a moment to capture. But the cool thing about that moment right there was that Shohei Ohtani and the person who captured that, they didn't know that was going to be this big grand slam. And of course, they're just basically trying to capture it any way they can. And the photographer apparently was going to do photography. And all of a sudden, he switches to video and he's able to get that shot from that angle the way that he did. I mean, that was just something special. That was something special to capture that in that moment. And yeah, I think Shohei is on the verge of becoming a player to have two dynasties at the same time. One the WBC and one in Major League Baseball that he already has. So let me know, who do you guys got for the rest of the series? Do you think that lineup is too ferocious for the DR? By the way, Yamamoto, a quick update on Yamamoto is that Yamamoto is going to start, and after that, we kind of got his plan. So with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, they're looking at basically getting him back after he makes his final start for Samurai Japan. And that final start is going to be against Venezuela. So this is per Bill Plunkett, who said right-hander Yoshinobu Yamamoto is scheduled to pitch for Team Japan in its World Baseball Classic quarterfinal game against Venezuela on Saturday. According to Dave Roberts, though, that will be Yamamoto's last appearance in his WBC run. The 2025 World Series MVP is, however, expected to stay with Team Japan until it is eliminated from competition. So that'll be the last time we see him tomorrow. And after that, he'll hopefully get a couple more cracks at it before the season begins. I think it's pretty obvious at this point he's going to be the Dodgers opening day starter. I said that months ago. That is still the plan. He did make a start for Japan in their opening game against Taiwan. He went 2 2/3 innings, gave up no runs, had 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. And they went 4-0 in pool play. Japan, they advanced to the next round. They're going to face Venezuela tomorrow here, and I will be there for that. So look for a post-game show. Team Japan tomorrow back in action. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Have a great weekend, Dodgers Nation. But hey, be looking out for those lives. Have those notifications sent. I'm going to do episodes where I just read the chat, by the way. We're setting up a special episode where it's just you guys, all Q&A, all show long. So we've been working on something cool with that too. We're gonna have a little contest, things like that. So be on the lookout for that, guys. But that's gonna do it. Enjoy your weekend. Subscribe. Make sure you join the LA Sports Report and go geared up. Get geared up at gearup.la. And most importantly, remember this. Remember this. What I'm about to say. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
And when the upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured, once again, it will be time for Dodger baseball.